What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today we are checking out the new Ultimate Flex thumb button release aid by TRU, which did win the best new release at the 2024 ATA show this year. TRU is known for making super high quality products. The Ultimate Flex was definitely one of the top releases that I wanted to test out here in 2024 because this thing is definitely packed with some really cool features, which we will cover in this video today. But first, just like all of our release videos, let's talk about the specifications, then we'll dive into the features. We'll talk about what level of adjustability you get with this release, and then lastly, I'll give you guys my overall thoughts and opinions on if the Ultimate Flex is a release that you should check out here in 2024. Now, as far as the specifications go, the Ultimate Flex is going to be available in two different sizes. You can pick it up in a medium or a large. I did go with a medium, and this thing feels perfect in the hand. For reference, I do shoot an Onyx medium. I also shoot the UV button in a medium, and also the Hinge 2.0. So like I said, a very great feeling release. They do a really good job at rounding out the finger beds on all of their releases to prevent any type of hot spots. And then you can also see that they did add a little bit of finger scallop design, as TRU is calling it, on the side of this release, which does kind of help in finger placement and then also comfort. Now, this release is coming in a little bit on the heavier side because they did go with a half brass, half anodized black aluminum body. They did also go with an anodized aluminum head. You can see that it does have that red color, which gives this release a really unique look, in my opinion. Now, what's really unique about this release is the fact that it does not utilize a cocking mechanism. They did go with a hardened stainless steel tri-star sear, as TRU is calling it, and this release is actually firing with pressure created from your draw weight on your bow or pressure from a shot trainer. You can see if you just push down the thumb button, the release hook does not open or deploy, but the minute that you put pressure on it, it'll allow that to open and rotate, and that's really what's happening with this tri-star design. And we'll talk about that hook design a little bit in the features section when we get to that point. But also there is a magnet in this release, and all that magnet is doing is basically just ensuring that that release rotates to the fire position after every single shot. Now, as far as the body design goes, you can see that it does slim down the profile a little bit as you get closer to that third finger. They did not go with that tapered look or that tapered design like they did on some of the HBC hinges. Now, for me personally, I do prefer this slim down design over the tapered because I feel like it's just a little bit more consistent to grab this release. Now, when talking about the features, this release is definitely packed with them. And the first feature that I want to talk about is what TRU calls their TSHS, which stands for their tri-star hook system. Now, as you can see, that tri-star hook just basically rotates. And again, we kind of talked about this in the specification, but as your bow weight pulls that hook open, it just automatically rotates, and the sear resets every time you let go of that thumb trigger. And what that is basically doing is you don't have to ever worry about resetting this release. Now, some people did report that sometimes they had to push this over. In my testing, I didn't have any issues with it. Now, the next feature that I really like about this release is what TRU calls their MDL, which is their micro adjustable draw length. And the way that you're doing that is you're basically either shortening or lengthening the head of this release. And TRU is stating that you're getting roughly about a 1/4 inch of adjustment. Now, what's really nice about this feature is if you are shooting a release or a thumb button release, it doesn't necessarily have to be from TRU, but say you want to match up that hook location so you have consistency with your anchor point, then you're going to really have that ability to kind of fine tune this release in. Now, the next feature is their EGH, which is their Ergo Fit handle technology, and we kind of already talked about this, but you can see where they added the finger scallops on both sides of this releases. Now, what I like about that is the fact that your fingers just automatically seem to just fall right in those scallop designs. So they did a really good job. It does help aid with grip consistency on the release. And then really it's just there to kind of help drive comfort through a variety of different hand sizes that may shoot this release. Now the next feature is their Ultra Flex personalized fit system that allows 15 degree of rotation up or down on that third finger. They kind of implemented this on their HBC Flex lineup. They call it their Flex technology. And like I said, it just gives you the ability to swivel that third finger. Now for me, I did test this release all the way up, which basically put that third finger in line with your index and your middle finger. But the more that I shot the release, the more I liked it all the way pushed back, which does kind of drop your ring finger a little bit. So it is a little bit out of line, but for whatever reason, like I said, that's what felt the most comfortable for me on this particular release. But it is nice that they give you the ability to customize the fit and feel of this release. Now lastly, we're going to talk about what level of adjustability you have on this release to really dial this thing in for fit and feel for you and how you like to shoot. Now the first thing that I want to talk about is the travel setting, because it is a little unique, being that they are utilizing a springless design. Typically with a release that utilizes a cocking lever, you can just back that travel screw out until that release fires, and then you give it a quarter turn, you're in a safe spot, and you've set that release up to have essentially zero travel. Now if you are someone who likes to really settle in on your release before you start your shot process, then you're probably going to be someone who likes a little bit more travel in your release, because you don't have to worry about accidentally firing this release prematurely. Now what's really nice is they do have it laser engraved on the side that show you where the set screws or the lock screws are, and then right below those lock screws, or right on the side of those lock screws, are going to be your actual adjustment screws. Now to adjust the trigger travel, what you're going to want to do is locate the lock screw on the side, loosen that up, and then locate the travel adjustment screw on the bottom of the release body. Now this is where the process does get a little bit unique, because it's not utilizing a spring system, is you do have to put a little bit of pressure on this hook. So TRU recommends just standing on a piece of D-loop and then taking an Allen wrench, turning that screw clockwise to decrease the travel until the release breaks, and then make note of where that is, and then give it a quarter turn back, and that puts you back in a safe spot. That's exactly how I set this release up, and I was able to achieve a zero travel release. Now one thing, like I said, being that this is not utilizing a spring system, you do want to be pretty careful because this release does not utilize springs, that it is going to seem to fire a little bit faster or take a little bit less effort when compared to releases that do have those internal linkages. So be careful on your trigger tension setting, which is going to dictate how hot or how cold the release is. I started out with a shot trainer and could immediately tell that the release was set a little bit hot coming from the manufacturer. So I did turn that screw clockwise to increase the amount of pressure required, so making the release colder. If you go counterclockwise, you'll make the release hotter. But like I said, be careful with that setting, because this release definitely seems to fire a little bit faster when compared to a release that does utilize those spring mechanisms. Now as far as the neck adjustment, there is a lock right on the side of the release. You're going to unlock that, and then there is a large Allen screw, and then basically, and it's also laser engraved on the bottom which way to turn to either lengthen or shorten the neck of this head. And then another adjustment that you have on this release is basically that third finger being able to choose if you like it a little more swept back or a little bit more forward. There's a set screw or a lock screw right on the side. You unlock that and you'll be able to play around with the position. Now keep in mind this release is available, or you can set it up either as a 2-finger, 3-finger, or 4-finger. The 4-finger finger configuration is sold separately, so that is something that you'd have to pick up in addition to the overall cost of this release. Now what's also really nice about this release is you do have the ability to play around with the position of the thumb peg, and you're also able to rotate this thumb peg 360 degrees. Now another nice thing is that they do give you 3 different mounting locations for the thumb peg post, so you'll also be able to shorten and lengthen that. Like I said, this release does give you a lot of ability to customize the fit and feel. Now as far as my overall thoughts and opinions on if this is a release that I would recommend, I want to cover a couple things. This release is made in America, but it does come with a pretty hefty price point. It's coming in at $354. But if you take a look at the UV button, you take a look at the Stan Onyx, their heavy metal option, the price is pretty comparable when you're looking at a USA made release that is very high end. Now, personally, if you would have asked me when this release made its debut at the 2024 ATA show, and also when I saw it in the shop, if it was a release that I would personally purchase, I would have told you no, because the design does not fit what I've historically gravitated to before in the past. I do personally like thumb button releases that have self-closing jaws, because you can put them on a D-loop in a hunting situation and they're there and they're ready for you when you need it. However, after shooting this release, I was very impressed with how crisp this release felt. I do personally feel like you can feel a difference between a release that utilizes a spring system, which pushes the hook open, versus this one just being able to just fly open or rotate open based on that draw weight of your bow. I also feel like they did an excellent job with the fit and feel of this release, and I always appreciate release manufacturers that give the ability or offer the ability to really customize the position of the thumb peg and your third finger attachment, and also really give you the ability to kind of play around with the finger configuration, go from a 2 to a 3 to a 4. It is a little bit of a bummer that they decided to not include the 4-finger connection. I feel like at the price point they probably should have, but not a huge deal for me, because like I said, I do prefer a 3-finger release. Now, the only thing that I would have liked to seen on this release is a D-loop containment section. I don't know if they could add like a little bit of a hook, very similar to what UltraView did on their UV button, but something to just allow you to clip this onto your D-loop. This release would be next level. And then the one complaint that I have about this release is the fact that they decided to go with a Phillips head screw versus an Allen screw for the post for the thumb peg. I don't know why they decided to do that. That's really like the only release manufacturer that I've personally ever seen go that route, but not a big deal. I did have to go search for a screwdriver to be able to adjust this release, but overall, I would definitely highly recommend that you check this release out. I think anyone that shoots this release, it's going to be pretty hard to not be impressed with the TRU Ultimate Flex. But that's going to be it for this video. Keep in mind, if you guys live in the southeastern Michigan area and you want to check this release out, it is available up at Sunrise Archery. You can pull it out of the case, you can shoot it, play around with it, see if it's going to be the right release for you before you make the commitment on purchasing it. If you guys have any other questions, you know that you can leave me a comment below. I'm always happy to help. You can also reach out to me directly on Instagram. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Your guys' support greatly helps us out, keeps us doing what we're doing. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you on the next one.